Folks, Mike here, and today I'm doing a water outlet housing on my wife's 2006 Ford Explorer. It's leaking from around the edges of the actual housing all the way around, and it's been leaking at the valley of this V6. So I'm going to get it replaced here before it gets any colder. Also, my wife's been complaining about the lack of nice warm heat, probably because the system can't get fully pressurized. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I already pulled the top off here. The main outlet that contains the actual thermostat, that was three 8mm bolts. There's three more 8mm bolts as well, holding the actual housing to the motor itself, temperature sensor, heater bypass, and also another little bypass down there. I'm also going to pull this idler pulley as well, because that will help me get this out. This hose down here is all swollen and mushy, so that's going to get replaced. And I'll show you when I fill up the coolant as well. So I'll bring it by here as I go through this. Stay tuned. Alright folks, I'm back. So I've moved inside because it's freezing outside. But I just want to show you guys what's going on here. So I got this as a kit. This is the new one here. Got this as a kit. It came with this. It came with some O-rings for the thermostat, as well as all the bottom seals, stuff like that. Did not come with no new screws, so you're going to have to reuse those. I'm reusing my temperature sensor since it was working just fine, as well as I'm reusing my thermostat as well as my radiator cap. One thing I am kind of sad it didn't come with was a new spring clip that holds the temperature sensor into the housing. Other than that, you know, it was a pretty complete kit. Got it at Advanced Auto. Here is the part number, and it's a CarQuest branded part. I also picked up one of these for the bypass that goes back down to the water pump. This is what the old one looks like. This is a genuine Ford part, but pretty much what happened is that it dry rotted, and on the inside the two-plied hose just separated. So you can definitely tell there's a size difference. See how it's bulging there, and that was really close to the idler pulley, as well as it was rubbing against the bracket for the alternator and such. So replace that with a new one. This is a Daco manufactured for CarQuest pre-bent hose. This was like $12, but well worth it in my opinion. This is the second one I have replaced in this vehicle of this particular bypass hose, and this was a Ford part that I went to a dealership and picked up. But yeah, that goes to show you the quality. Beyond that, this is the same thermostat housing that was in the vehicle when we bought it at about 30,000 miles. It was just off lease. I don't assume it's aftermarket. It does have all of the Ford markings in the bottom, but yeah, it is leaking at the seams all the way around. There's some good staining over there, you can see, but it doesn't leak at when it's just sitting. But after you've driven it on the highway for a good 20 or so minutes, and you go ahead and pop the hood, you can see it's just sweating coolant out of the housing. The last person who removed this housing did use some looks like orange RTV. I'm gonna go ahead and just use the normal gaskets that came with the kit. Kit comes with this one here for the bottom, as well as new O-rings for the temperature sensor, thermostat, all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this together and get this all ready to go back on the car. And I'll show you leak testing and bleeding with the spill-free funnel when I get to it. Some of you might be worrying that these bolts are pretty crusty looking. I am going to clean them up. I have my wire brush. I also have a wire wheel outside. So I'm going to bear the cold, go and get that done. And I'll be back and bring you guys some more as I go. Stay tuned. one quick bit that I forgot. I also have my radiator cap. This is a fairly new cap. It's a 20-pound cap, as the manual specifies, for this 2006 to 2010 model year Explorer. I did give this a good scrub. I gave pretty much all the parts I'm reusing. The outlet for the thermostat, temperature sensor, I gave those bolts a scrub, as well as the radiator cap a scrub here in my sink. If you guys see a further video from me after this one, that means my wife was alright with it and I lived. Otherwise, yeah, she probably killed me. Yeah, I'll be back here once I get these bolts cleaned up and I'm putting everything back together. Alright folks, I'm back. So, put this all together. I got my temperature sensor in there. Got my little spring clip deal put in there as well. I replaced the rubber O-ring that was there. Here's the old one. And they sent 3 O-rings. This one, and there's one on there right now. And that was the one that fit the best, so that's the one I'm going to go ahead and use. There is a special Ford part number for this O-ring because it's a bit wider than your typical O-ring, but hopefully this works. If not, I can just reuse this one as well because it's in great shape. I got the gasket for the thermostat put in there just to make sure everything, fits nice and snug. You don't want to tighten this down because it's gonna pinch that the O-ring, and disform it. So you don't want to tighten anything up until you are totally ready to reassemble everything. Beyond that, there's this one here. It's a very, very close tolerance O-ring that goes at the bottom of the housing. That fits right in here, and it's a really, really tight fit. There's maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/100th of an inch sticking up from where this O-ring / gasket seats the bottom here to where it contacts the block. And this is, I'd say, one of the most important seals. I am going to put a bit of some RTV sealant for water pumps just to be 100% sure. Seals, because I have done one of these before and I know that these don't always seal 100%, but other than that, everything's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get the vehicle all cleaned up, get the block ready to go, and put everything together, and I'll bring you guys back when I get to that. Alright, so housing's back in the truck. Got the new bypass tube put in there. I didn't remove the idler. I got in there with a pair of really long pliers, and that was that. I know I reused the constant tension clamps from the factory, but I don't have any others right now. I'll probably get those changed out at a later time if they cause any problems, but I don't anticipate them having any issues. They still had a good amount of spring left in them, so I'm pretty sure they'll be alright, but like I said, if need be, I can rip this apart again and change them out. I did put some bit of water pump housing sealant on the bottom of the thermostat housing against the block to also clean that up really nice and well with a bit of steel wool, some brake clean. I tried getting most of the liquid out of the valley. I still have one rag back there I need to go ahead and pull out, but other than that, getting almost ready to button her back up and fill her back up with coolant, and probably take her for a test drive here in a little bit. So I will update you guys as I go. There's another couple rags back there I'll pull out, get the housing put back together, and my upper radiator hose back in. I'll bring you back when I'm doing the deed with the spill-free funnel. We're back. So I got my spill-free funnel set up. This is a product from Lyle. I'll show you guys the part number here. And it came with this cool lid, all these extra adapters, extension, so you can hook this up to your radiator cap and just dump in. As a stopper, it gets full. Top out, you can cap that off and dump whatever's left in there back into your to your coolant jug. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and dump the coolant I recovered down in here, and I have another bottle of coolant I'm gonna fill this up with and bleed out the system. I'll be back when I'm in the process of the bleed. Alright folks, I'm back. So got my recovered coolant going back in here. So if the truck was on, that'd be bubbling and stuff would be circulating, but I am giving that RTV a bit more time to harden up before I start the vehicle up. So I'll be back here in a little bit. Just wanted to show you what's going on. But yeah, just pour it right in, just like that, and bring it back when the bubbles are going here. Right now I'm just waiting for that to get a little bit more hard before I add any more coolant to this thing. Alright folks, I'm back, and I've got the truck running. So far so good, no leaks. A little bit of wetness behind there still, but that should go away as the motor warms up. It's a spill-free funnel. And yeah, no bubbles yet, but we'll probably get a couple more of them here once the motor starts warming up and the thermostat opens up. But yeah, right now I'm just waiting for this to get to operating temperature. So one of my pulleys here probably needs to be replaced soon. But other than that, yeah, everything looks like it went well. So back here in a little bit once the bubbles start flowing through this funnel here. I'll show you guys how it works to help bleed out your system. And we're back. So the bubbles are starting to come out. There we go. It's definitely not warm yet, but things are working their way around the inside there, and hopefully get nice heat here once this is all done. So I'll be back here once I'm getting close. So I've been warming up here for about 20 minutes or so now. Haven't been driving anywhere, obviously. So, and it's pretty cold out here in Minnesota, so it's taking a bit of time to warm this beast up. But the old 4.0 is throwing a lot of bubbles there. That's all bleeding out. The thermostat finally opened. Upper radiator hose is nice and warm. Just waiting to see if there's any leaks or anything, but yeah, so far so good. Got a good amount of air out of this thing, so I might go close her up and take her for a spin here. If I had a cameraman or a camera person, I'd be able to show you how this all comes off of here, but pretty much this jams into here, and that will allow this to build pressure, but you don't want to do that because it's gonna cause a bit of a explosion. But yeah, just let this kind of do its thing. I like doing this, removing this with the car off, because less chance for bubbles to hit you. But yeah, I just dumped this all into the overflow. This one's pretty empty, so that's where all this is going to end up going. Let's take it for a spin, make sure there's no other leaks or anything. But it looks like what I set out to do is complete. Is running as well as a Ford can. But hopefully we're getting rid of this thing this spring. Something new. Because yeah, it's nothing but problems. But yep, I'll come back here after test drive probably and let you guys know how everything went. Alright folks, I'm back. Just got back from test drive. Everything is great. Got heat back, nice and toasty. no leaks. Not very many bubbles, couple, but yeah, this is nasty. I did notice that one of the vents on the driver's side wasn't blowing as hard as it should be, or not as hot as it should be. So I'm probably going to do a heater core flush this summer, or not this summer, but this spring, when it warms back up. But yeah, this right now should get us by for winter at least. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to my videos if you'd like to see more.